choice. Alex sat in the sterile white room, the ticking of the clock far louder than it should have been. The walls were so bare they felt suffocating. Just a blank expanse that reflected everything, yet absorbed nothing. Only the faintest glimpse of the city skyline through a small, fogged window offered any sense of life outside the bubble. But even that felt distant, like a scene from a dream. Dr. Carter sat across from him, leaning back in his chair with a calm smile. He was an older man, but there was something unsettling about how still he sat, his eyes too sharp, his presence too composed. Alex had been coming to see him for weeks now, though the reason for these visits felt like a puzzle he couldn't solve. "Alex," Dr. Carter said, his voice soothing, deliberate. "We've made some progress, but today, I think we can address something deeper. Something that's been holding you back." Alex shifted in his seat, fidgeting with his hands. He looked away, uncomfortable, trying to suppress the unease gnawing at his insides. Something about Dr. Carter felt off, like he was too perfect, too controlled. I don't know," Alex muttered. "I've been trying to do everything I'm supposed to, work hard, stay focused, but it doesn't feel like I'm in control anymore." The silence between them stretched, as if Dr. Carter were waiting for something, waiting for Alex to say more, waiting for something to click. But instead, the only sound was the rhythmic ticking of the clock, growing louder in the quiet room. A faint whisper entered Alex's mind, so soft he almost missed it. "You're not in control. You never were." Alex froze. His heart skipped a beat. He glanced at Dr. Carter. He hadn't moved, hadn't reacted. He was still watching him with that calm, unblinking gaze. Did you hear that?" Alex's voice trembled slightly. "Hear what, Alex?" Dr. Carter asked, his tone still smooth, almost rehearsed. Alex's eyes darted around the room. What was happening? He shook his head. "Nothing. Never mind." Alex blinked. The scene shifted abruptly. He found himself standing at the edge of a massive maze. The hedges rose higher than he could see, thick and impenetrable, their dark green walls seemingly endless. In the distance, at the center of the maze, a solitary figure stood bathed in a soft light. Dr. Carter, his figure just barely visible, distant. Alex blinked, trying to shake the dizziness in his head. How had he gotten here? How had the room shifted so suddenly? The voice, the one from before, that whispered in his head. It returned now, louder, as if from somewhere deep within the maze itself. The maze is your life. Every choice you make takes you further into it. But you're trapped. You always have been. You just don't see it yet. Alex shivered, swallowing hard. This couldn't be real. It couldn't be. But the maze stretched in every direction, and no matter where he looked, there was no escape. The whisper came again, this time more insistent, as if taunting him. "You think you're free. You think you control your path." He hesitated before stepping forward, trying to focus on the path ahead. There were so many options, too many. Alex reached a fork in the path, two equally long, winding trails stretching before him. "I can choose," Alex muttered to himself, but his voice cracked with uncertainty. "There has to be a way out." But as his hand reached for one of the paths, the ground beneath him shifted, the paths twisting, rearranging. The fork disappeared, replaced by a new division, one that hadn't been there before. Alex staggered back, his heart racing. "What?" He stumbled forward, trying to make sense of the maze. It was changing, shifting. No matter where he went, no matter what path he chose, The maze seemed to close in on him, forcing him down dead ends, pushing him further into its confusing depths. "You can't control it, Alex. It was never your choice." The voice was mocking now, almost gleeful in its cruelty. "Every step you take, every decision, has already been decided. You're just playing out the script." "No," Alex gasped, feeling his legs tremble. "I can't. This is your life. All your choices, all your decisions, they're all part of a game. But you're not the one holding the pieces." Alex spun around, searching for an answer, any way out. But the maze was endless, its walls rising higher, narrowing, twisting. Panic set in. His breath quickened. The maze felt suffocating, each turn closing off his options, each step pulling him deeper into its grip. The scene shattered, and Alex found himself back in the therapy room, though now everything felt more wrong than ever. The room was no longer pristine. There were cracks in the walls, the clock ticking at an unnatural speed, the air thick with tension. It was like the room had been weathered by time, as though the very fabric of reality had been stretched and warped. Alex's hands were shaking. His breath came in shallow bursts. Dr. Carter, still sitting calmly across from him, didn't seem disturbed by the sudden change at all. "Alex," Dr. Carter said, his voice calm as ever. "You're realizing it now, aren't you? That you're trapped. That all of this, the choices you think you've made, the paths you've chosen in life, it's all just an illusion." Alex's head spun. "What are you talking about?" His voice was hoarse. "No. I've always had a choice. I could have done anything. I can still—" "No," Dr. Carter interrupted, his tone almost patronizing. "You've been running in circles, Alex. You've been following a path laid out for you from the start, thinking it was your choice, your control. But you've never truly been in charge. The maze is inside you, and no matter how hard you fight, it will always choose for you." Alex opened his mouth to argue, but the voice in his head cut him off, louder now, relentless. "You think you can escape? It's already too late. You were never free. The maze is your mind, your perception of control. It's all a lie, and you're trapped in it, forever." Tears welled in Alex's eyes. No, that's not true. I can't be." Dr. Carter's eyes glinted with something cold, something knowing. "You're not the first person to realize this, Alex. Everyone who walks into this room believes they have control, but they're all wrong. We're all wrong. We're all trapped by our own illusions." The walls around Alex started to close in on him, making it impossible to breathe. He sank to his knees, feeling the weight of it all. Everything. The choices, the decisions, the sense of agency. It was all an illusion, a cruel game that had been set in motion long before he was even born. The voice wasn't just a whisper anymore. It was a constant hum, a buzz in the back of his skull. "You're not in control. You don't have a choice." Alex stared at Dr. Carter, the truth finally sinking in. It had never been his choice. The maze had always been within him, twisting, shifting, trapping him in a cycle he could never escape. The clock ticked one final, ominous beat, its sound deafening in the silence that followed. Alex closed his eyes, the darkness consuming him. And when the silence finally swallowed the room whole, there was only the quiet hum of the voice echoing in the void. "You were never free. You never had a choice."